The hug heard around the company. I was thrust a laptop by an angry exec early this morning with him complaining that his laptop had locked up again. Normally we have a ticketing system in place for any and all tech issues. However, when an exec wants something, he bypasses the system because of RIP. So I go through the normal routine of diagnosis, and through my efforts I see that the issue is simply bad RAM. I replace the RAM and take the unit back to the exec. He tells me he refuses to take the unit unless I have made 100% sure that everything that was wrong with it is fixed. Internally I wanted to punch this man, but I held it in and simply asked him what other issues he was having and pulled out a notepad. He ran through a load of issues that all screamed just unfkin Kalena to me, and I took his unit back to my desk. After going through and cleaning out BS installed programs used literally once and never again, and cleaning out junk data, I found that a folder in his roaming was reading 12 GB but was hidden. I log in with my creds and enable viewing hidden or protected files, and I see that the hidden folder was from 2014. Basically it was just a bunch of pictures and looked to be a temp folder created by one of the old programs I removed. Some kind of picture manager or some such. Normally when we see personal pictures on the machine we are supposed to delete them immediately. Now no one ever does this as we are not that big of dicks in the id department. Plus this guy was an exec, so I decided to just move the pictures to his desktop under a folder I created called old pics. I took the laptop to him and informed him of the pics, telling him I left it up to him if he wanted them deleted or not. He thanked me for my time and I went back to work. About an hour later him and his wife, who had come up to join him for lunch, came over to my desk. He seemed very happy and she was crying. Now normally when I have nothing to do and a boss comes over, I stand up to greet them. Just the way I was raised, I guess. I was not prepared for what followed and was totally shocked by the outcome. The lady wanted to thank me for finding the pictures and the exec reached out to shake my hand, thanking me profusely before pulling me into a hug in front of the entire department. I awkwardly hugged him back and he let me go embarrassed. My eyes are wide, flabbergasted and totally unprepared for this. Extremely out of character moment from this guy. Barely able to hold back the tears. His wife tells me that the pictures I recovered were thought to be lost. In 2012 their 4-year-old son had died of leukemia and the pictures I recovered were taken right before his diagnosis at 3 years of age. Because of a house fire a few years ago they thought they lost every last photo of their son. Apparently those were the photos I had recovered. His wife reached out to hug me and everyone in the id department stared at their screens hard with puffy eyes as we were all not expecting this kind of emotional event today. My boss came out of his office to personally thank me and forwarded an email chain to me ahead of a company-wide email that the CEO sent out, basically retelling the tale while naming me personally. He threw in words about striving for excellence and the unexpected results of everyday excellence. I had to turn off my Skype for business as the attaboys kept coming in one after the other. My boss told me to take my lunch early since the flood of messages was making it hard to do my job. Edit. Post this before lunch one day. Don't log into Reddit for a bit. Realize post went nuclear. RIP inbox. Thanks for the gold, you 9 kind redditors. This one's a simple one, but I can't get it out of my head. I work in a store that offers technical support for consumer level technology. A few days ago I had an elderly gentleman that we'll call Pete, name changed for privacy. Our receptionist made him a walk-in appointment earlier that day and I ended up taking it. When I opened it all up, the only notes I saw were third-party software. Hard of hearing. I walked up to Pete and greeted him, saw that he was staring at my lips as to read them. Then I asked if he knew American Sign Language, ASL. I've been trying to learn ASL as a sort of side hobby for a few months now. Pete signs yes, and we continue the conversation in Sign. Turns out the issue is with Skype, which keeps crashing on his roughly 5-year-old tablet. And he's been having difficulty video calling his wife who is deaf. She lives in a different continent. She traveled there for a temporary work opportunity and would be there for 2 years. This being the midway point. It's now been 1 year since Pete's seen his wife. Skype is the only way they both know how to communicate efficiently long distance, as neither are comfortable with ML or other text-based services. as I go through verifying that he knows his password and making sure there's a backup of his device. Pete and I are signing back and forth, and his face was completely lit up. I felt so good to be able to, albeit slowly, speak with him in his language and give him the time he deserved. Even if his reason for visiting us had little to do with our physical product. Once everything was verified and backed up, I uninstalled Skype and reinstalled it, had Pete sign in, and used Skype's test call to ensure it wouldn't crash, as it would immediately upon call creation before. Test call went through fine. Sweet. I looked down to write a few extra notes and began to hear some coughs. I looked up and there was Pete, crying while waving to his wife through Skype. Pete called her and she picked up. He introduced me to her and told me that it had been 3 weeks since they'd heard from each other. I stepped away to give him a moment alone. It's moments like these that keep me going as a technician. Even though I barely touched Pete's tablet, fixing it made me feel like a hero. It's been a few days and I can still see his smile. Just thought I'd share. Thanks for reading. Obligatory. Wow. This exploded overnight. Thank you all for your kind words. Seeing the response I've gotten from all of you has made this experience even better. You guys are an amazing community. When the drive for a new iPhone is too great, you get fired. I work as an executive support technician for a large company. I have a team of 8 people under me, and we support high-ranking executives and their administrative assistants. Because of the nature of our work, we have the ability to get things done that the standard help desk cannot. We can force upgrades that would otherwise be denied, get things expedited, skip the normal procedures, and talk directly with the people who fix the issues. While we are executive support, there are still levels. When the CEO is in town, one of us is camped outside of wherever he might be in case there is any sort of issue. For lower people, we make sure things get done as quick as possible. But it's not a drop everything situation. As we prepped for the releases of the new iPhones, we braced for the flood of I need this that inevitably happens. We slot in orders immediately for the top of the pyramid guys, and then work our way down, replacing, or sometimes having to tell them that they have to wait because the device they have is too new to warrant replacing. So on Monday, the EA of a lower end exec put in a request to get both herself and the exec new 256GB iPhone X. Her exec was put on the approval list with a wait, but the EA was denied. She had just been issued an iPhone 7 a few months ago, and she began to raise hell about I have to support him, so I need to have the exact same phone etc still denied. On Tuesday, I get a ticket from the EA. iPhone will not turn on. Require replacement with attached ticket for iPhone X request. I send one of my drones out to investigate, and I immediately get a text saying I have to get out there. I get out there, and the iPhone is wet. Not just wet, but dripping wet. Like just pulled out of a glass of water, wet with a screen that could only be called heavily cracked. The EA states I was using it, and it fell into my water bottle. So we take the phone back to our area and I've called my manager over, and we explain it. It's obvious what has happened. We've toweled it off, and when we turn it over, water drizzles out of the cracked screen. Well, as luck would have it, we had spares. So I pluck a nice 64GB rose gold iPhone 6 that was returned when the previous owner departed the company. I call and have the SIM reprovisioned. I reassign the phone in AirWatch, and I have the phone returned to the EA. 10 minutes later, said EA is at our door, ranting, screaming, saying that she can't work like this. She needs a new phone, and if we don't give her one, executive will make us give her one. I step in and tell her a permanent replacement is just beginning the process. We have had to issue you this phone as a loaner, so you can continue working until a permanent replacement is source Q Wednesday. The approval process has come back denied for her replacement. The loaner phone is now her permanent phone. This info is relayed to the EA, who is fuming. Lots of executive will hear about this, and statements of I can't believe this is happening to me. How will I work? Wednesday afternoon. Same EA. New ticket. iPhone broken. Need replacement. I head out myself to see the issue and the phone looks like it was dragged behind a semi-truck for 100 miles. The screen is shattered. A big chunk missing out the top near the camera. Big dents in the back. I calmly ask what happened. This phone was perfect this morning. The Reply: well, since you gave me an old phone, my case didn't fit and it slipped out of my hands and fell down the stairs. Well, okay. Could you tell me when and what stairwell this happened? She does. And I take the mangled phone. I grab my manager and we head off to the security office. And we pull the tapes. On the video we see the EA walking up the stairwell. Concrete stairs. Metal handrail. Your typical big building non-public stairwell. She reaches the top and proceeds to fling the phone, like one would skip a stone, down from the 6th floor to the mid-floor landing. Where it lands, she steps on it and then kicks it down to the 5th floor. It bangs off the metal fire door and she picks it up, examines it and then tosses it down the stairs towards the 4th floor, bouncing off a few steps before landing on the mid-landing between 5 and 4. She picks the device up and pries a large section of something off the phone. We suspect this was a chunk missing by the camera and then heads back up the stairs, running the phone against the cinder block wall as she climbs. So we grab a copy of the video. We head straight to ours. We sit with the personnel director. We show her the video. We show her the 2 damaged iPhones. We show her the tickets. I relay the abuse thrown to myself and my techs about how she demands an iPhone X and has taken to destroying company property to get it. Termination follows. However, the user has gone home for the day. Her accounts are disabled. Her security badge flagged. 7:30 AM today. The EA attempts to get into the building and her badge does not work. So she has to walk to the security office. The security officer takes the badge and walks her to ours. 8 AM. The security officer and 2 members of ours are escorting the EA out of the building. She's alternating between yelling and crying, demanding that executive be called and that she's being framed as she's brought through the main foyer. I'm on the 2nd floor balcony that overlooks the entrance. She looks up at me, curses me and is gone. Both phones, her laptop and other equipment have been placed with the legal team as a precaution. Company policy when there is a messy separation. Maybe I'll buy my team pizza for lunch today. Seems like the right thing to do. TLDR, executive assistant breaks iPhones in her quest to get an iPhone X. Gets unemployment instead. Thank you for watching Turfed. If you enjoyed this video, show your appreciation with a like and subscribe. See you soon.